Hey guys, this is Press here, and I'm going to be doing a video on what I think are the best level 3 recs to call in on a sweaty game and or to improve your gameplay. So to kick things off, we're going to start out with the most obvious and basic things to do, and that is to customize and change your loadout weapons and armor mods. So a few weeks after the Warzone Warlords playlist released, 343 had a small update that changed the rec values of all the armor mods. So some are at level 3, 4, 5, and so forth. Now there are only 3 options to use at level 3, and that is the patrol case, which that gives you more reserve ammo and more ammo to carry on the power weapons if you need to. There is Grenader, which makes it so your grenades do more damage and you also take less damage from grenades. And then there's the armor mod that makes it so your ground pounds are more effective, which that's completely useless. So basically, between patrol case and Grenader, I think the more obvious option to use is Grenader, because at the beginning of the game, all the teams are going to be rushing armories, they're going to be rushing monuments, they're going to be rushing fortresses, and there's going to be a lot of nades being thrown everywhere. And being able to survive more nades and get more kills or damage with your nades is going to be huge at the beginning at level 3. That's going to be huge at the beginning. So I think Grenader is the most obvious armor mod that you should be using at level 3 for a sweaty game. Now moving on to the weapons. Now you always need to be remembering to swap out your pistol for any kind of BR. And I know these scopes, a lot of it is preference. Some people like the Recon BR, some people like the Morph, the COG, the Hybrid, and so forth. But mine, the one I go to is the Hybrid BR. I love the Hybrid. I love having that carbine scope. It's so clean, so nice for me. That is my preference. But any scope can work for you. Also, I know a lot of people that like to run 2 BRs at the same time, so one with each different scope, and they like to do this so they can have more ammo and also swap to a BR mid-gunfight if they run out of ammo on one. And basically, I don't like doing this because I like being as versatile as I can be, and having an AR for those close-range situations is going to be more deadly than a BR in some scenarios. I like having a silenced AR. As I talked about on the level 2 rec, silenced AR is really good for sneaking up on the enemy and really deadly at close range. Okay, now I'm going to move on to what I think are the best level 3 recs to call in, and we're going to start it off with what I think is one of the most versatile and best recs in the game, and that is the level 3 Sword Ghost. Now these Sword Ghosts are so essential and versatile in Warzone that they can be used in so many important situations. Situations like killing bosses, splattering the 25s, splattering the occasional 100s, which are going to give you points in your rec level boost. They're also huge components in capping a fortress, a spire, a garage, or any other big base, because basically if you're in there, you're going to be slaying the other team and delaying them from capping it while you're giving your teammates more time to run over there and get in and get more teamwork to cap that armory, and that's just huge. Final reason why you want to be calling in these ghosts is that they have a lot of slaying power. They're going to be able to spawn trap pretty easily on assault. They're going to be able to kill those vehicles that are trying to escape. They're going to be good at killing those lone Spartans that are running by themselves. And they're also just going to generally be good at keeping people back. No one's going to really want to challenge a ghost if they only have a BR. Now the one thing you really got to be worried about if you have a ghost, and the perfect counter to it, is a plasma pistol. They're really good at stunning a ghost, killing the person out of it, or even hijacking it. So that is the one thing you really need to be worried about in a ghost. Moving on, I'm going to talk about one of the biggest potential momentum shifters, and that is the level 2 overshield. Now, if you coordinate with multiple teammates to call in these overshields and push a base together, this can be huge. This can completely flip a capture as long as the other team doesn't have power weapons, they don't have other overshields, or they don't have, ghosts in there. As you're just going to overpower them with your more shields, basically. It is really big, but you got to realize that there's a lot of things that can counter, like I talked about. There's ghosts that can easily shoot down your overshield. There is shotguns, blissful slumbers, plasma pistols. So there's a lot of things that can take away your overshield really quickly, but it can work in your team's favor if you have enough teammates pushing it and they don't have too many deadly power weapons already in that base. Next, I'm going to move on to one of the most deadly recs in the game, and that is the Blissful Slumber. Now, we all know how deadly the Storm Rifle is. The Storm Rifle is one of the most OP weapons in Halo 5. It is going to punish and melt anyone at a close range. Now, the Blissful Slumber is just an upgraded version of the Storm Rifle. The Blissful Slumber has more damage, more range, and even a special effect where it has more kickback, like it blinds the enemy, and it also has splash damage on the ground, so you can shoot at their feet and it's still going to damage them. Now, this is just so important for pushing bases, armories, and just slaying in general. This is one of the best recs at level 3 you can use. It's just going to be good in any situation if you call this in. It's going to melt anyone and just do damage and help the team out. Now, the one thing you got to be wary of is, since I said it has a little bit of splash damage, if you're shooting someone that's rushing you and going for a melee, it could end up in a trade because you're going to do that splash damage onto yourself, and like they could get the melee and beat down on you. So you got to be cautious of that. Now I'm going to move on to one of the most punishing close range wrecks in the game, and that is the Lawgiver. Now this thing has more damage, therefore more range, it has a faster rate of fire, and it has a faster reload speed. So basically it is a highly upgraded shotgun, and we all know how well shotguns can hold like those doorways, those close range corridors, those just armories, those fortress caps. Like, they are really punishing. If someone is in the right positioning and they're crouching with the shotgun, they are going to hold down that area by themselves. People are not going to be able to challenge that, and if they do, they're going to be killed by that shotgun. There's really no counter to it unless you have good nades and teamwork to push that shotgun. Next, I'm going to talk about a wreck that is very specialized and only good in a few situations, and that is the Plasma Caster. Now, the Plasma Caster it's obviously always going to do damage at close range, and it doesn't have too much ammo, and there's not too many close range situations where it's going to last you too long. But the one thing that is really good at is on Apex 7 and against the hunter bosses that will spawn on Spire at the very beginning. Now, these casters will melt those hunters, and it will also melt anyone that gets onto the Spire. And this is the situation where I will usually always pull a caster on a sweaty game on Apex because of this situation. It is always going to melt on the Spire, and it's always going to do damage against those hunters. So that's the one time you really always want to be calling in a caster. Finally, we're going to move on to the last wreck of the video, and that is the Spitfire, which is a highly upgraded plasma pistol that I praised on my Rec Level 2 video. Now basically the Spitfire, what it's going to do differently is it's going to have more range, it's going to use less energy per shot, and it's going to also take a lot less time to get it to its fully charged mode. This means you're going to be able to stun vehicles and ghosts, counter overshields, noob combo Spartans, and also take down shielded bosses. Overall, the Spitfire is a highly versatile weapon. That concludes this weekly tip video, and just remember that your teams really need a good, well-rounded balance of these wrecks. You don't want to stack one type of wreck. You want to be able to counter and attack everything properly. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this series, and I will see you next week on the Level 4 Wreck video.